How's it going, fam? Welcome back to Erica's EDC, and today we are going to do a video on freehand sharpening 101. Yes, this is a video that you guys have been recommending for a very long time. I already have a video on this, but I've learned a lot more since that video, and I've also gotten some new supplies that I think are superior to the ones mentioned in my old video. So we are going to completely redo it, start from the beginning, and do a Sharpening 101 series. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. This is going to be only on freehand sharpening, not systems. And we are going to do basically a two-part series. This video is going to be all the supplies that you need and how they work. And the second video will be the literal sharpening, freehand, how to actually do the work. So this video, let's talk about everything you're going to need for your freehand journey, okay? This is going to allow you to sharpen any knife, fixed blade, folding, doesn't matter, and it will let you sharpen anything from simple carbon steels like this Case Sodbuster Jr. here, all the way up to high performance, high hardness steels like this Spyderco Native 5 Lightweight in Maximate, okay? So, basically everything that you will see here is from sharpeningsupplies.com. I don't have any affiliation with them. Everything was paid for. They do know who I am, but none of this was sent to me for free. They just have the widest selection of supplies that I found and really good prices, and they also run really good deals. There is only one item that is not from them, and I will show you what that is and mention it. So, what do you need to start your freehand sharpening journey? Well, you need a stone holder. This is a little, well, not little, this is a stone holder, and you can adjust it, and you spin these little bolts, basically, and it can, widen way up, and you can fit a really long stone in here. I'm going to show you how wide it goes. There you go. So this can hold a really long stone, and basically this has some rubber feet on it, and you place your stone in this, and it holds it while you sharpen. So like that, you would put your plate in, okay, cinch that down, and then it doesn't move while you're using it. So this is a necessity for me. It also allows you to set it up in a sink if you sharpen like in your kitchen sink. Some people do that, or in your workshop, you can just set it on your sink and sharpen in there. It's really useful. So this is a necessity. Like I said, you can get this at sharpeningsupplies.com, and this is what I put all my stones in. Then you're gonna need a spray bottle, okay? I just have a, typical spray bottle here. This has just a couple drops of Dr. Bronner's soap in it. Basically, when you're sharpening with the stones that I'm going to show you, metal particles from your blade will inevitably get stuck kind of in the pores of the stone, and basically just spraying your stone down every once in a while you're sharpening will, pull those particles up to the surface so that you can wipe them off. That way you're getting the best sharpening experience that you can. Let's look at the stones. This is the most exciting part. So, for my most recommended set, I really like these DMT DiaSharp stones. So this is very similar to Veneve stones. I'm sure you guys have heard Neve's Knives talk about those. I have used everything from Shapton glass ceramic stones, which are splash and go, to nanowatt Japanese stones, which are water stones that you soak, Arkansas stones, the oil ones. Like I have it all, but for my most recommended, I really do recommend diamond plates, synthetic diamond plates, because like I said earlier, this will allow you to sharpen literally any steel, from simple steels all the way up to high performance, high hardness steels, okay? So these DiaSharp plates come in a set. Now you don't have to get the set, but I recommend it because it will allow you to do anything from reprofiling an edge all the way up to doing mirror finishes. So the set that I got was from sharpeningsupplies.com, and it basically sends you 4 diamond plates. It sends you an extra coarse 220. So this is the coarsest stone that you can get. This is going to allow you to reprofile edges and work out damaged edges. Like if you have chips and chunks missing, it'll allow you to reprofile them. Then we have the coarse stone, which is a 325 grit. And this is still very coarse, okay? Then we're working our way up, and it has a 600 grit fine stone. This is going to be your go-to stone for just general sharpening for any steel. This is going to be your basic stone here. And then we have our last stone, which is an extra fine 1200 grit stone. This is going to give you some mirror polishes. This is going to be a honing stone. This is a very fine grit, okay? So that's what the kit comes with. Like I said, you don't have to get all 4. You can pick and choose which ones you want. But if you want to be able to literally do anything, that's the set that you're going to get. And then, of course, we have strops to finish everything off and to do maintenance in between sharpenings. So this is a Michael Richter slip, or not slip. So used to saying slip. Michael Richter strop. This is one that he handmade. This is loaded with 1.5 micron diamond emulsion spray that he made. But if you don't know who Michael Richter is and you need to get something that's just more like readily available and easily available, sharpeningsupplies.com has strops, and you can buy things like gunny juice, okay? So this is 0.5 micron gunny juice, and you just, pump it onto this, kind of rub it in, and there you go. So those are all the supplies that you're going to need. Now let's talk about how freehand sharpening works in general, okay? So when you're sharpening a knife, basically, in essence, what you're doing is realigning the microscopic teeth of the edge. So if we take a knife, if you were to look at this edge under a microscope, it's basically a tiny little saw. So the edge, what literally helps you cut, are tiny little teeth like on a saw, just really tiny version, okay? So let's pretend that these are the teeth, okay? So you have a saw, and when you dull the knife, basically what you've done is you've bent the teeth flat like this, okay? And sharpening, what sharpening does is you take a surface harder than the steel, and you're realigning those teeth back into alignment like this, which is called an apex, okay? So with our stone, what we're doing is we're taking these diamond synthetic stones that are harder than the steel, and you're using this plate, okay, as you're sharpening to push those teeth that you have flattened back into alignment, which creates a sharp knife. So every time you sharpen, you need a surface harder than your steel. And that's why I'm recommending the diamond plates, because as fun as ceramic stones are and Japanese water stones, which I have and I love to use, they do limit you, because if you're using high performance steels like Maximate that are very, very hard, ceramic is not harder than Maximate. So generally speaking, ceramic stones, like basic ones, they're not going to really do anything to Maximate because they're softer than the steel. That's why I always, for beginners and for someone just looking for a one and done system, I always recommend diamonds, because they're the hardest surface you can get, and it'll allow you to work with anything, including high hardness steels, okay? So, like I said, all you're doing is realigning the teeth. Now, obviously, in this situation, we're not talking about edge damage and, tear outs and stuff like that. We're just talking about general sharpening, okay? Like just a normal knife that isn't damaged. That's how sharpening an edge works, okay? So let's talk about what you're going to use each one of these stones for. We're going to talk about that a little more in depth. That way you can really decide if you need the whole kit or if you just need maybe 1 or 2 of these stones if you're on a budget, okay? So the extra coarse stone. I'm figuring a lot of people would not need this, the average user. The reason being is that this, like I said, is for reprofiling and working out severe edge damage. This is a very coarse stone, and this is too abrasive and too aggressive for general sharpening. You would not want to start on an extra coarse 220 stone. It's going to be too aggressive, okay? This is going to be a stone for if you're literally reprofiling an edge. So with the Spyderco here, you can see, that's Sharpie right there from an experiment. You can see that this edge is not the factory edge. It's a little bit wider, so it's a little bit higher, and it's polished, okay? That's because I reprofiled this. I wanted the edge bevel to be higher to maximize the cutting performance of this blade. That is not something that you have to do. I do that because I test knives, I work with knives, and that's something that interests me, is reprofiling edges. That is not a normal thing, okay? You don't have to do that. So this extra coarse 220 grit stone is not something that you need unless you're looking to reprofile edges, okay? Let's talk about the coarse 325. This is one that I do think a lot of people should have, because this stone will really work through factory patterns that you get. So if you get a knife and let's say you get a Spyderco Delica from Seki City, Japan, okay? They tend to have uneven bevels. If you get a Seki City, Japan knife, this one is not one, but if you get one from Seki City, Japan, and the edge is wonky or something and you want to make it more even, this will do that very quickly, okay? This is a very coarse stone, not as coarse as the first one, but 325 is pretty coarse. It will make quick and easy work of, you know, redoing an edge or maybe evening edges out. And I really like having a 325 on deck because it basically is the fastest stone to do kind of harder work on your edges. Out of all these stones, if you only had to get one, the fine 600 grit is my most recommended, always. This is your go-to for probably 90% of your sharpening, okay? This fine stone will sharpen any steel all the way up to maximum, as long as you don't have edge damage, right? This is the only stone that you would probably need if you wanted to just do basic, sharp, working edges, okay? So this fine 600 grit, out of all four, if you could only get one, this is the one that you need, okay? This will sharpen anything. This will allow you to work on any steel, and it's not going to polish the edge, but it will leave you with a very sharp, toothy working edge on any steel that you use, okay? So out of all of the stones, if you can only get one, this DioSharp 600 grit is the one. And this is also what you're going to use, like if you have a dull knife, that's the stone that you're going to start on, okay? Like I said, unless you have to really work out a wonky edge pattern or something on the 325 that we just looked at. For basic sharpening on any EDC knife, the 600, this is what you're going to use, okay? Across the board, if there's no edge damage and you're just sharpening your damn knife. Then we have the extra fine 1200, and this is more of a honing stone. This is not something you need, but if you want to do polished edges, if you want to do some honing in between sharpening, this is a great stone. This is very fine, it's very soft, still abrasive enough to actually make progress, right? But it's a very soft, fine stone. So this is what you can use in between sharpenings to touch up your edge. That's also one that you can use to, you know, kind of polish your edges up. And it's a very soft stone, not necessary, but it's a nice touch to your collection, okay? So those are the stones that I recommend. Now, obviously, there are so many different diamond stones that you can get. There are so many different grits, but if we're just trying to keep it simple and cost-effective, That's what I recommend. And like I said, out of all of them, if you can only get one, get the 600 grit. That will do everything you need it to do for any knife that you own, okay? These stones will also last you probably a lifetime. They're diamond, they're synthetic, they're very hard. The longevity on them is amazing. You don't have to worry about really flattening them like with a ceramic stone or a water stone. It's like the least amount of maintenance that you can think of. Okay, so that is what I recommend. And like I said, you don't need a strop, but I highly recommend having one because this will allow you to keep your edges keen in between sharpenings, okay? A strop is something really important to have. I'm not a big fan of strops with the like clay looking compound. Just grabbing one right here. So as great as this strop is, it has 4 sides, it's loaded with all different compounds. The old school little brick that you color on, it breaks down so quickly that at this point with the options we have now, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend getting any type of leather strop with that little brick compound that you color on like a crayon. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. You're going to be like, oh, I've seen that before. Okay, I don't recommend buying these little blocks of compound and scribbling them on to leather to use as a strop. Does it work? Yes. But are there better options out there now with the products that we have available to us as consumers? Yes. Don't even bother doing the old school stuff. The diamond sprays, the diamond emulsion compounds that we have available to us are just so superior. They last longer. They don't break down and crumble like the clay compound stuff. Any type of diamond emulsion spray that you can get, or like I said, the Gunny Juice little pump that you can use, this is going to last way longer. It doesn't break down like the brick compound does, okay? And it's just as easily available as the other stuff. So this is what I recommend. Any type of diamond paste or spray or little pumpy thing, okay? You'll want to kind of decide on what grain of leather you want, depending on what type of knives you have. If you want an all-around great strop, I recommend getting something with harder leather like this, okay? Because you have to remember, the more give that the leather has, the less effective it's going to be on steels like Maximate or K390 or 15V or 10V, okay? Because these are so hard that you always have to remember, the harder the steel, the more firm your surface has to be for the strop, just like with the stone, right? So I recommend a hard leather strop for your all-around use, okay? You can get those anywhere, DLT Trading, sharpeningsupplies.com, it doesn't matter. Out of all of this stuff, if I only had to recommend one strop and one stone, it would be the 600 grit fine stone, okay, for your one stone. And for your one strop, I really do recommend hitting up Michael Richter. He's on Instagram. He has a YouTube channel, Richter Knives. He makes really great strops. The leather that he uses is very hard, and he sands the surface, so it's pretty aggressive. This is my most effective strop out of all the strops I have. It really is. I really recommend hitting up Richter Knives. If you're not on Instagram, if you don't have access to contacting him, I guess my most recommended would be, let's grab this one. This one. This is from DLT Trading, and this is a really long strop with very hard leather. It did not come loaded with the compound. I put it on there, but if you literally just go on DLT Trading and look at their strop options, they have these, okay? This is actually meant to secure onto like a workbench or something. That's why it has these little divots here. But this is a really good strop. It's large. You can do fixed blades. You can do folders. The leather is hard. It's readily available. I mean, look at how long this thing is compared to my head. So if you don't have Michael Richter as an option, go to DLT Trading and grab one of these long strops, okay? And then you can choose whatever compound you want to work with. In terms of compound, like what grit, because there are so many different ones, again, 1.5 micron is my go-to. Diamond spray, okay? Or diamond paste or diamond whatever. If you can find 1.5 micron, that is a universal, great, one and done diamond emulsion spray or compound to use, okay? There are so many different options. I mean, you could get 10 of these gunny juice things at all different microns, but you don't need them, okay? 1.5 is it's an excellent option to strop any type of knife, okay? I think that's about it. So that's all that you need to get into freehand sharpening. The next video that I do will be literally the actual sharpening, and I have a ton of videos on that showing like how to freehand sharpen, but we will do another one because, like I said, I'm kind of updating this whole series. You know, I've learned so much. I think I actually have the stones that I showed in my first version of this. This is what I used to use. You guys have seen these before. So this is from the same company, DMT. Same company as this. And these are their little like 6-inch diamond plates, and they have the little perforations here that grab the steel as you're sharpening. These are great. They're cheaper, but they definitely aren't the easiest to work with the little holes in the top. You can feel it as you're sharpening, and some people just really don't like that. So this is what I used to use, and I always loved them, and I still do. But I definitely think that these diamond plates that we have been talking about today, these are way superior. They're way easier to use. I love the size. I love the width. These are a pleasure to use, and I just think they're way easier, especially for beginners. So this is the updated supply list that you will need, okay? Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of where to start. You know, get a strop, 1.5 micron, get a stone, 600 grit. Good to go, guys, okay? If you just need simple and effective. Yeah, hit me up down below if you need anything else. I love you guys. Go use your shit. Learn how to sharpen your knives. And I will see you in the next video. I love you so much. Take care.